Alright, so now let's go in and let's set up the fume container. I'm going to duplicate the explosion that we had before and slide that over, and let's just bring it up a little bit, and let's just set this to the parameters of what we're going to need here. Slide it over a bit, and so we don't load the cache, let's just rename this explosion to low. And let's resize it a little bit better. And whoops, I accidentally scaled the container instead of used the sizing in the grid parameters. So let's just take that back and adjust this. There we go. Okay, so now let's just go to a frame of our particles and let's create a particle emitter. Let's add that in. And so now we're going to keep most of this default. We're going to keep off free flow because we want the particles to actually interact with the fluid. And let's keep the radius as it is for now. And let's just go down. Let's just boost the velocity up to 4. Let's make sure we got a lot of velocity to kick this out. And fuel and temperature we're going to leave at default with oxygen, and let's leave smoke at default as well, and let's just make sure to use the RGB PP. So now let's add that into our fume container. And also let's make sure to have the blocking Y on. And everything else we're going to keep at default. So let's just take a sim of this. And let's make sure our start frame is at 80. And let's just take a sim of this and let's see what we get. Alright, so that just took a few minutes. And at pretty low res, it's looking pretty standard. Pretty great though. It busts out pretty fast, and there's a big plume that goes up through the center. So I'm just going to really quickly change the rendering settings to make sure that we're viewing the smoke instead of a gradient. We want to view the color that we simmed. So there we go. We can see the different colors in here. That looks pretty cool. So you can see what's going on here. So I'm just going to add in, I think, the collision as well, and then we can do another test of that. We want to make sure it's going to drag it along with it. So let's create a second collision for this. Let's grab these, the blades, and let's grab the missile geometry here. Let's add that in. Now, unlike before, we had free flow for this collision. We want to make sure we get proper collisions when it hits the ground. So we'll keep it as shell, and the speed of 1 is probably a little much. So let's lower that to 0.5, and we can rename this and let's add that into our fume container, and let's try another sim of this. Alright, so this is our simulation, and it's definitely coming along. We've got some interesting things as it pushes out. Now we're definitely going to make some adjustments with the time scale and slowing it down. So I'd highly encourage you to just change a few parameters at a time and play blast it to see what's going on, so you can really fine tune the things like velocities and that you're trying to achieve. So in the next clip we'll take things a bit further and we'll set up some more emitters.